Welcome to HaKol, where we talk about it all. Motherhood, friendship, mental health, community, all of it. Nothing is off the table. I'm Dasi, and I'm really glad you're here. And before we dive in, I want to explain what this episode actually is because it's a little bit different. This episode is really based on an interview with an OBGYN, and the doctor I've interviewed wanted to remain completely anonymous, which I fully respected. At first, I thought, okay, I'll turn everything she shared with me into a written Instagram post. And then my friend Bracha said, girl, no one is going to read all that. And she is 100% right because I would not read it. Like, I know on Instagram, I scroll right past. I do not read anything that is too long. No. But I did want everyone to hear this because I think it is so important. So here we are. Instead of keeping this as a written content, I decided to turn it into a podcast episode because this information really deserves space and for people to hear it. This episode is audio only because I'm cozy and I'm reading through the interview, expanding on it, and diving into everything postpartum from an OBGYN's perspective, mixed with some real stories and real questions that so many of you had. This isn't going to be super rushed. I hope you guys are cozy, or at least you guys are listening to this while you're doing something you like, or even just, I know for myself, I listen to podcasts while I work and while I clean up. So girlies, step in. Whether you're postpartum right now, pregnant, years out of postpartum, or supporting someone who is postpartum, I'm really glad you're here, and let's get into it. Okay, so we talk so much about pregnancy. We talk about birth and we talk about babies. But postpartum, which is the part that comes after birth, is still so wildly misunderstood. I made a podcast with my very good friend, Rivka Morris, and we spoke a little bit about it. We went through a little bit about how we didn't really know what hit us and what postpartum really took away from us. And it was just a really great episode to kind of like warn everyone and bring a topic that isn't really talked about out in the light. It was so well received, and I'm so grateful and so thankful for everyone who listened to it and sent us their stories, sent us their comments, everything, and shared it. So really, thank you all so much. And if you haven't heard it, it is the first episode of HaKol. Go listen to it now. It's on Spotify and on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe so you can keep up with everything. Before we dive into postpartum, I really want to start with some basics but important things, like what actually is an OBGYN. So, an OBGYN is a doctor who really specializes in women's reproductive health. They care for women through pregnancies, birth, postpartum, and really well beyond those years. They manage menstrual health, fertility, pregnancy and delivery, postpartum recovery, menopause, and mental health screening around all of it, actually. And that's really important because postpartum care doesn't end after 6 weeks, even though it often feels like it does. Okay, so let me just give a little backstory to this OBGYN who is here. Well, not physically with me, but writtenly with me. She has been an OBGYN for 25 years and she works mainly with the Jewish community. So she does have a little more of our understanding about NIDA and everything like that. So that's really, really nice. I know for myself, I don't have an OBGYN who is in the Jewish community. She is not Jewish and she's not really familiar with the Jewish culture. So she was really a little bit shocked. First and foremost, I was one of her youngest clients. I gave birth at 24 to my first, and she said right off the bat that I was one of her youngest clients, which was so funny to me because, you know, us Jewish girlies, everyone makes us feel so old all the time. But I was like, okay, good perspective change, good perspective change. And then when I informed her that I was pregnant with my second, she was definitely shell shocked because she was like, what do you mean? When I gave birth to my second, Adina, Mako was about two, maybe two, like and a half or something like that. And of course, like halachically, some testings that we don't do, she was pushing. So obviously, it is so much easier when you have a OBGYN who understands your religion and your faith. So it's really, really great. So that's a little bit of a background for her. So let's dive right in. I asked her, when should someone start going to an OBGYN? So she said, from an OBGYN perspective. Also, guys, this might sound a little like robot-y because again, this is like her words and it was all through email. So I do not want to like add any words to her. So it might sound a little robot-y, but hey, it's fine. So she wrote, from an OBGYN perspective, most women should start seeing one in their late teens or early 20s. earlier if there are concerns like painful periods, irregular cycles, or hormonal issues. But here's the key thing: an OBGYN isn't just someone you see when something is wrong. That she added because I obviously had told her specifically this is about a postpartum. So I really love that she kind of said that, because I know for myself, I definitely go to my doctor only when I really need to, but that's so true. Like, we shouldn't be going to them only when something is wrong. We should be going to them every year for checkups, for all the good things. So I kind of love that she said that. Also, for myself personally, and dare I say, maybe a lot of girls out there, I did not even know what an OBGYN was until I got engaged and I was ready for birth control. That's when I saw my first, and I had no idea. I had no idea what it was. I had no idea what they do. I just know that you go in and they give you birth control and we move on, and that's it. I really only got involved once I personally was ready to start trying. So, and let me tell you, it was definitely shell shocking, especially once, thank God, you do conceive, and then they start doing all these different ultrasounds with all these different tools, and you're just like, what is happening? So, I think being aware of an OBGYN and the procedures they do and everything, that is really super important. It's so funny because now when someone I know is pregnant, I'm like, don't freak out when the first few times, like, they will do XYZ. And it is a little shocking when you don't know what they do. Like, it is very shocking. It's a little invasive, let me tell you. If you don't know, great. If you know, girl, were you surprised the first time? Because let me tell you, I was shocked. I could not believe it. Okay. Moving on though. So, baby blues. We all heard about baby blues. Baby blues sometimes gets confused with postpartum depression. Everyone says, oh, it's normal, it'll pass. But when does baby blues end, and when does it become something more serious like postpartum depression? So, our OBGYN said baby blues are incredibly common. About 70 to 80% of new moms experience them. They usually start within the first few days after birth, peaking around day 4 or 5, and improve by about 2 weeks postpartum. The key factors are time and intensity. Baby blues are closely tied to the sudden hormonal drop after delivery. You may cry easily, feel emotionally sensitive, overwhelmed, or tearful, but you're still generally able to function. When symptoms last longer than 2 weeks, worsen over time, or start interfering with daily life, that's when we think about postpartum depression. So I said, postpartum depression isn't just feeling sad. Our OBGYN said exactly. Postpartum depression is deeper and more complex. It can feel like persistent sadness, numbness, guilt, annoyance, feeling disconnected from yourself or your baby, and many women say, I don't feel like me anymore. And something very important to know: postpartum depression doesn't always start right away. It can show up weeks or even months later, which is why it's often missed. And now I think we personally are talking about the non severe ones. Unfortunately, you do hear about postpartum depression where it's like really, really bad thoughts, dangerous thoughts, things like that. Right now, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the more subtle things that do get overlooked because us women are just so in survival mode that we just think all of this is normal, but it is not. And I really wanted to kind of distinguish between postpartum anxiety and depression. So I asked, how are they different? Our OBGYN said, they're different, but they often overlap. Postpartum anxiety is driven by constant worry. Thoughts feel loud and racing. There's often fear, something bad happening to the baby, or a feeling that you can't relax even when everything looks okay. Physically, the anxiety can show up like racing heart, tight chest, nausea, difficulty sleeping, even when exhausted. Depression often feels heavier and emptier. Anxiety feels more relentless and panicky. Both are real, both are common, and both are treatable, which honestly was really eye opening to me, especially the feeling part. Like depression often feels heavier and empty, and anxiety feels more relentless and panicky. I still get this, which is so funny. When I go into my car, very much in my head, knowing that my daughter is safe. She's not 13 months. She is safe. She is home. She's being watched. She is fine. When I get into my car and I'm 10 minutes into the drive, there is, for some unexplained reason in my mind, still this panicked thought of like, oh my God, what if she's in the back seat and what if I leave her here? And it is just so weird. And it's crazy that it's still happening, like literally postpartum 13 months after. We talked about it. She thinks that is definitely a little bit of postpartum anxiety. So I might have both, which is fine. But it's funny because this is the only thing that I can really think of, which is crazy. And I still have it. And I literally went to horseback riding last week. And as I'm driving, as I was parking, boom, in my head, something went, your daughter is in the car and you are leaving her in the car alone. And it's just so crazy and so strange. And it's like, oh my God, what do we do? But we're going to talk about it. So yeah, guys, it's just so crazy because when you think you're done with it, you're not. But you know what? It's just more work for me to do in Mirza Shem, and it's great because we're bringing light to it and we need to work on it. And I'm just going to keep going now. So I asked, is postpartum depression genetic? Our OBGYN said genetics can absolutely play a role. A personal or family history of depression or anxiety can increase risk, but genetics are just one piece. Hormones, sleep deprivation, birth experience, trauma, and support systems all matter. Genetic risk doesn't mean destiny, it means we should be proactive, which I really liked because you're so right. You can be completely fine, no genetic disposition, whatever. But if you do not have the support system, if you do not have sleep, if you had a terrible birth experience, all of that can really, really manifest and just take you down. So, is it possible for postpartum depression to last years? Our OBGYN said postpartum depression itself doesn't last decades, but untreated postpartum depression can evolve into chronic depression or anxiety. Many women later realized they never fully recovered, it just became their baseline. That's why early recognition and treatment matter so much. And you know what? That was really scary to see because a lot of times we do put ourselves as mom on the back burner because we're like, we need to take care of our family, we need to take care of our kids. But if we don't take care of ourselves, this thing can follow us through. I saw a really amazing quote. It said something like, our children only have one mother. Take care of her. And I love that because it's so true because we do that. Listen, like, what is it? Goldilocks and the Three Bears. You saw the mama had the cold soup. You know, the mama had, what was it? Like the small bed. I don't know. Like she always like the not great things while the daddy bear had like big bed and hot soup, and the baby bear had everything perfect. So, listen, we need to take care of our inner mama bears, okay, guys? Take care of her, please. Oh my gosh. And I'm talking to myself too, but we need to take care of our inner mama bear, guys, for our sake. So, I asked, what happens if our postpartum depression isn't treated? Our OBGYN said untreated postpartum depression can affect relationships, bonding, self esteem, and long term mental health. This isn't about fear, it's about understanding that postpartum mental health is healthcare and we must take care of it. So then I dove into what do you, an OBGYN, wish husbands understood? And our OBGYN said postpartum struggles don't always look like crying. Sometimes they look like anger, withdrawal, anxiety, or inability to rest. If she says she feels like a bad mom or unlike herself, believe her. Support doesn't mean fixing, it means noticing and taking concerns seriously. And you know what? That is so true, especially because when we say comments like that, we usually get just people brushing it off, being like, no, you're amazing, you're doing fantastic, whatever. And yeah, I actually remember one time, I think I was in the thick of things and I was having a meal with my whole in-law family and it was so fun and we were just like talking. I don't even know how the conversation came up, but I literally was like, I think I said something like, oh my gosh, no, this is terrible. I'm so terrible. This is not going well, not what I thought like was going. And I think I probably said it in a tone that was very like light. And I remember everyone like laughing and being like, oh, Daza, you're so funny. Like, what? No, especially because like outwardly, like on the day-to-day basis, I was like showing myself up like to be totally fine. And I remember I literally said, I'm like, no, guys, this is a cry for help. But like, obviously, no one thought it was because I kind of was just like going on with life. Of course, I don't blame anyone. I didn't even know I was going through it until after. But it was cool to hear that and then also see this experience that I had personally. And then I asked if I can give her submissions from you guys and if she can answer them. She was so sweet and she said, of course. So I'm going to read the submissions word for word and then our OBGYN's answer. So our first submission says, our postpartum was harder than my entire pregnancy. I was beyond emotional. I wish I knew not to give myself a timeline for my own personal bounce back. It's not realistic. Another message said, I wish people talked more about the fourth trimester. The hormones after birth were harder than anything I felt while pregnant. Our OBGYN said, from an OBGYN perspective, this is one of the most common things women say and one of the least talked about. During pregnancy, hormones level rise slowly and steadily over 9 months. After birth, our hormones drop dramatically within hours to days. There's no gradual adjustment, it's a hormone cliff. At the same time, your body is healing from birth, you're not getting any sleep, your nervous system is on high alert, and you're suddenly a mother. Postpartum isn't just recovery, it's neurological and a hormonal recalibration. And bounce back culture ignores that reality entirely. Take your time. Do not let anyone pressure you into bouncing back. Next submission. What are the exact symptoms of postpartum depression? How would you know you have it? Can you have it at a minor level? Our OBGYN said postpartum depression doesn't look the same for everyone. Symptoms can include persistent sadness or emptiness, feeling numb or disconnected, annoyance or rage, guilt or feeling like a bad mom, low motivation or exhaustion that doesn't improve with rest, trouble bonding, feeling unlike yourself. And yes, postpartum depression absolutely exists on a mild to severe spectrum. Many women don't recognize it because they're still functioning, but functioning is not the same as feeling okay. If symptoms last longer than 2 weeks, worsen over time, or interfere with your daily life, that's when you need to consider postpartum depression, and that's when support really matters. Someone else wrote, can you be happy at times even if you have postpartum depression? Our OBGYN said yes, and this is one of the biggest misconceptions. Postpartum depression does not erase joy. Many women still laugh, still love their babies, still have good moments. Depression often lives underneath those moments. This is why so many women don't get help. They tell themselves, I'm fine, I'm not always sad. But mental health isn't measured by your best moments. It's measured by what you carry most of the time. And sometimes that's depression. Now, we had someone write in who said, is it possible to be in constant state of postpartum depression from your first baby 17 years ago, and now your seventh baby is almost 2? So, our OBGYN said postpartum depression itself does not last decades, but untreated depression can turn into a chronic depression or anxiety, especially when a woman never gets support and continues to carry emotional, physical load year after year. But I must say this, healing is still possible even years later. Now, here's a submission from a father of 5. I wonder if I have been able to see the clues of depression earlier. By the time it was in full force, months had already passed. Our OBGYN says partners don't need to diagnose, but noticing changes, taking the changes seriously can change outcomes. So, early signs to look for are withdrawal, constant annoyance, anxiety, emotional numbness, or just when your loved one is really not themselves. We had someone write in, I wish people understood the toll feeding your baby can take on you, especially when breastfeeding isn't working or it's really hard. Our OBGYN said feeding struggles are one of the most underestimated postpartum stressors. Breastfeeding can be physically painful, emotionally draining, and deeply tied to expectations. When feeding becomes overwhelming, mental health suffers. Formula is not failure. Breast is great, but fed is best for baby and for mother. And I 100% agree with that. Oh my gosh. Lord. Oh my gosh, guys. When I tell you I can go on a 10-minute rant about this, do not kill yourself to nurse. Literally feed your baby. Now, if you want to try it, please go for it. But if it is not working for you, oh my gosh, please don't be a martyr. Fed is best. Your baby is going to be amazing. Formula babies versus non formula babies. Baruch Hashem. You know what? Why did Hashem make formula? So we can use it. Okay, moving on. Sorry, guys. All right. Someone wrote, I gained 70 pounds during pregnancy. Postpartum, I feel ashamed of my body, especially from comments from family and friends. Our OBGYN responds, weight gain during pregnancy is influenced by hormones, genetic, fluid retention, and metabolism, not just your diet. Postpartum recovery takes time. There's no medically appropriate bounce back timeline. Body shame postpartum is incredibly common and incredibly harmful. And I 100% agree with it. I personally love saying that it took 9 months. No, I can't even say that because, see, I cannot even say that because that's a timeline. I'll tell you what I was going to say. I was going to say that I always tell myself it takes 9 months to make this beautiful baby. Give yourself at least 9 months before you see any change. But that's also giving a timeline. So that's terrible. See, guys, like even me who is trying so hard to like work on myself. Gosh, we always like put pressure on ourselves. It's so terrible. But really, I feel like in this sense, our mental health comes way before our physical health. So, people really need to learn to shut up, though, honestly. People's comments are crazy. Moving on. Someone wrote, I wish I knew how normal C-sections are and that recovery can still be beautiful. Our OBGYN responded, C-sections are birth. They are not failures. Recovery can be powerful and meaningful regardless of delivery method. And love that. Gorgeous, beautiful, literally post-it note that somewhere. Obsessed. So I know this wasn't really a long episode. I know it really wasn't so in-depth. It was just an interview with an OBGYN, but I am so excited. And you know what? In Mirz Hashem, I'll be able to do another one, a live one. In Mirz Hashem, hopefully, one day. But I'm so excited to continue this journey with HaKol, and I'm so happy you are here. Tune in next week. We're going to be talking all about birth control with my good friend Avishag, and I cannot wait. Bye-bye.